Hey, Chris from the Mighty Decibel here. Welcome back. This episode, we're going to be revisiting our Let's Meet series, where we talk with people from the metal industry. In this episode specifically, we're getting together with Alex, bassist, vocalist from Swedish cult, Doom cult, 10,000 Years, who've just issued one of the best Doom releases of 2022, in my opinion, simply called 3. Welcome, Alex.
Thank you very much. Glad to be here.
Great. Before we jump into 10,000 Years, I thought we'd go back a little bit in time in your musical history here. I see that you were part of a band called Pike that you issued a full length in 2012. Can you tell us a little bit about that band, what type of music it was, and what happened to that unit?
Yeah, it was me and Eric from 10,000 Years also, and my brother. Started Pike back in 2008. We just basically got out of various bands and decided to do something together. And I don't really know how we ended up playing what we did, but I guess we were influenced by some of the stuff happening in Sweden at the time, like bands like Kong, and we just started writing like heavy riffs, and the songs just got longer and longer.
Yeah.
So I guess it was some sort of progressive doom sludge type stuff.
And was this like out of university, out of high school sort of thing, or?
Yeah, I would say around the time we finished high school. I'm a bit older than the other two guys, but yeah, something like that.
So what happened to the band after you issued the full length?
Well, we moved apart a lot. We lived in the same small town to begin with, and then with schools and stuff, Eric moved way down south in Sweden, so we didn't have much time to play or anything. And then we decided to go on without him. So it was just me and my brother for a while, and then we hired a new guitarist and played some more gigs and wrote some new stuff, but we never made it to recording because I just felt like, I don't know, it just became too much for me. So we decided to put the band on ice, and that's the way it's been since then. So officially it's on ice, but it's probably never going to happen again. So,
so between 2012 when you issued the album with Pike, and then it wasn't until 2020 that the 10,000 Years album came out. So what was going on in that 8-year period?
Yeah, me and my brother were trying to get Pike going again for a lot of those years. And like I said, we got a new guitar player and wrote a lot of stuff, but it didn't really materialize to anything, unfortunately. And then I moved to Västerås, where I live now. And I played some hardcore punk with a couple of guys I met here.
Yeah. What was that? What was the name of that band?
It was called Struggle.
Oh, okay. Did you put out any music from anything recorded?
Yeah, we have one like EP tape that we released on us, like a small punk label from Bulgaria, I think.
That's interesting that you'd be moving within the hardcore punk and doom realms. That's like the guys from Cathedral, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell us about how you got into both doom metal and hardcore punk, and why you decided that 10,000 Years would be a doom metal entity.
I don't really know how I got into doom metal, but it was around the time when we started Pike that we got into the more doom type stuff. We were already listening to a lot of stoner rock and stuff like that. Like when we were younger, we rehearsed at the same place as a stoner band called El Gordo from way back in our hometown in Kungsör, and they turned us on to Caius, and from there on we just dug deeper and deeper and heavier stuff. And the hardcore and punk stuff has always been like in the background, because I played some punk rock before Pike as well. So I've always been into like a lot of different types of music, but the doom and stoner stuff is really what where my heart is really. Since first time I heard High on Fire, I think then it was done.
Yeah. So would you consider High on Fire your one of your favorites or influences? What other bands would there be that influence you guys?
Yeah, for 10,000 Years, for sure, High on Fire. The name 10,000 Years is from one of their songs. and then bands like Mastodon, Black Tusk, stuff like that. But also, straight up stoner rock, like Kaya's Lowrider or Fu Manchu.
You get a unique vocal shout style. I'll call it.
Yeah, I've heard that before.
So, what would you compare your vocal style to? Anybody out there that you're emulating, or is that just what you sound like?
I mean, that's just what comes out, really. I've never had any formal training or stuff like that. It's just when I try and do this like heavy shouting vocals, like for metal, that's just what comes out. And I think it's a kind of, like you said, it's a bit of a unique sound, and I dig it. It's like I said, it's not something I've trained for or cultivated. It's just that's how my voice sounds.
Do you sing for your hardcore punk stuff as well, or does somebody else do the vocals?
No, in Struggle I played bass and did some backing vocals, but not lead.
Right. And the backing vocals are basically the same as how you sing in 10,000 Years, or?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. It's just shouting loud in the background.
All right. So let's move on to 10,000 Years and and your 3 albums that you've issued. What I'd like to do is go through them one at a time and have you talk about the conceptual ideas behind the trilogy itself, as well as the music. Yeah. So if you don't mind, let's start with the first release. So what is the storyline behind the debut?
The first, the self-titled record is it's about a spaceship from Earth, and that's sent out on a mission into the universe, like nearby galaxies and stuff, to try to find a new planet for the human race to possibly inhabit, like move to, because it's the world's going to shit, so people gotta do something. And then they, without them knowing, they accidentally travel through a wormhole and end up at a new planet, but unbeknownst to them, it's in another dimension. It's not really where they started. And so during that record, they're on the planet, and on the last song, I think it's called Two Suns Beyond, that's where the ship travels away from the planet and in trying to get back to Earth.
So at this point, when you issued the first album, did you know ahead of time that it was going to be a trilogy, or what was going on in your guys' head?
We knew it was going to be a trilogy, because we were like, in the beginning it was only me and Erik, the guitar player, and he was like I said, he used to live in south of Sweden, but then when I moved to Västerås, he had already moved here as well. And then one day he just texted me like, hey man, I have some riffs, you want to jam? And then we did, and here we are now. So and when we started playing with Espen, the drummer, we had the first song, I think, was Albatross Landing. And then it was like, it would be cool if this song was about like a spaceship. And then what if we make a concept record? And then it's spiraled way out of control from there.
I'm sure there was beers involved.
Yeah, it usually is. But then, like, when we knew that it was going to be a concept space thing, then we were like, we got to make a trilogy, because that's the coolest thing to do.
Right on. So musically, did you achieve what you wanted to in the first release?
Yeah, considering where we were at the time, like we achieved what we wanted, because we were always thinking like we want to do stoner metal, like mixing chaos and like kind of high on fire stuff. And in the beginning, it was more towards the stoner end of the spectrum, but that was what we were going for, I think. And the sound has kind of evolved naturally from there. But yeah, considering like where we were at the time, we achieved what we wanted. Yeah.
So if for those that haven't heard the first album yet, which song would you point them to just to give them an idea to check that album out?
I think my favorite is probably Master of Oblivion. It's a good mix of the like riffy, high on fire kind of stuff, and also the stoner and a little bit of heavy doomish type stuff. It's a good mix.
Excellent. So let's move on to the second album that came out last year in 2021. So again, if you could continue the storyline from where we left off on one.
Yeah, when the first record ends, the spaceship travels away from the strange planet, and at the start of 2, they crash land on what they think is Earth, the regular Earth, and then during the course of the album, the reality dawns on them that it is Earth, but it's 10,000 years in the future, and this old god / entity, the Green King, has already taken dominion over the planet and has been for millennia. And I think back, and that's where it ends, I believe. Like they realize the truth of their situation,
right? And they have to plan to go back to try and go through the rift in space.
Exactly. Yeah. The last song on the record is when they start, I think, like plan what they're gonna do to escape and make things right. The dark side of the Earth.
Right.
It's called, I think.
Amazing concepts there. So musically, I found this one even heavier than the first one. Like you really lay down the lumber on this one. So again, that was just a natural thing, or was that an overt decision to get heavy?
No, like it's the music-wise, it's never been like the decisions like, oh, now we're gonna make a song that sounds like this. We're gonna go heavier. It's really a natural evolution of the sound. Like when we become more like proficient in our own sound and more comfortable playing together and voicing ideas and stuff. So really, I think both the second and now the third one is more closer to what we were actually shooting for when we started, I think. Mm-hmm. Like the stoner, the metal part, really.
Yeah. So how successful were the first 2 releases? Is it a case that you were building off each release? Have you been able to do any touring, that sort of thing, up to that point?
So I don't know really how to measure success, since it's such a small band and small scene, but we got really great reviews and a lot of people telling us they dig our music. So based on that, I think they both were very successful. Like we were never thinking that nobody would hear it even. So we were like, yeah. So it's been really a surprise all along that people even listen to it.
Well, quality always rises to the top, and your 2 was one of my fave doom metal albums of the year last year, and 3, in my opinion, is even better. So just amazing stuff here. Any touring that you've done over the past year?
No touring. We've been saying like from the start, like we don't really plan on touring because of like we all have steady jobs and families and kids and stuff, and it doesn't work logistically. But we play live here and there. It's like we quality over quantity.
Right on.
So I think we've done like 3 or 4 shows since we started, but then we started in the middle of the pandemic, so that can also play a part.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on to the third record that just came out recently. And again, if you can continue with the storyline on 3.
Yeah. On the third record, the crew knows what situation they're in, and they repair the damaged ship and take it back out into space to travel through the rift they inadvertently created in the space-time continuum in order to close it and hopefully make everything right again. And the album ends with them flying out into space. The long instrumental track at the end, that's like they fly out into space 2 suns beyond once again, and you never know what actually happens. Do they make it? We don't know. Nobody knows.
Which begs the question, why is it only a trilogy? What's happening next? You know?
Yeah. And I mean, I'm a sucker for unhappy endings.
All right.
So I wanted to leave it like open. And Planet of the Apes, Night of the Living Dead, those types of endings are always my favorites, where you don't really know what's going to happen. Right. So I figured it would be fun to just leave it open. Right. You can make up your own mind.
So your guitarist Eric Palm's work on these records is amazing, but I got to point out that especially the lead on Desert of Madness here, mind-bendingly good stuff. But can you tell me a little bit about that? Because he hit that one out of the park. Yeah,
I mean, he's really a crazy guitar player. He always impresses me when we're in the studio. That's the song specifically, I don't really know what he did. I mean, he never writes any solos down. They're all improvised in the studio. I mean, he has like a general idea of where it's going and what it's going to do, but the final take on the albums are always like improvised. But yeah, I feel like he's kind of a mix between like Brent Hines of Mastodon and Richard Blackmore. It is bluesy type stuff, but still really crazy.
Yeah. So again, which song would you point people to check out on this on the 3 album to check you guys out?
See here. I mean, it's such a kind of diverse. It's hard to point at one song like this is how we sound. But one of my favorites is Il Cattivo, because it's like it has a lot of the elements that a lot of the elements that is us. The crazy fast like stoner metal, but also a lot of heavy stuff and weird riffs and stuff like that. So obviously, as you pointed out, there is no plan for the storyline to continue in the future, but in future releases, are you thinking about creating new storylines, or are you going to go the more conventional, non-conceptual route in the future? We have actually been talking about that. We're working on a new album already, or at least songs that will become the new album, and it will be a concept album again. But something new entirely, because we like as a lyricist, I feel really done with this world, because you kind of get kind of stuck in like what kind of words and themes you can use, because you still have to keep the same feel over all the albums. But this is actually going to be kind of a spin-off of the story. If you remember the song Moose Riders from the last album, we're gonna go to their original homeworld and tell a bunch of crazy stories from there.
It's like the Star Wars spin-off series and all that stuff.
Yeah, but besides after that, I don't really know where we're gonna go. But if I know us correctly, I think it will continue to be somewhat concept based anyway, but it's gonna be more loose. Like this will have like all the songs, exist in the same world, but it's not like the overarching story of the album.
Right on.
It's just random stories and characters from that particular world.
Well, it'd give you an endless source of writing material if you did that, right? You can go anywhere you want. So excellent stuff.
Yeah. So we'll see where we end up.
Yeah. So anything else that fans out there should know about you guys before we sign off here?
Probably, but I really don't know what. No, but I don't know if you're in Sweden. We got a couple of gigs coming up in this August and in the fall as well. So check out our Facebook and Bandcamp and stuff, and you will be up to date on everything 10,000 Years.
Excellent.